Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Mr. Payne bringing you your final exam review of sequences. These are the ones that students always get tricked up with because of all the different letters and all the different vocabulary words. So we're going to really try to spell that out for you today and make it a little bit easier for the final exam. Examples, the first sequence we're going to talk about is the arithmetic sequence. If you look here at the example 3579, the first term, a sub 1, so that language there, and down here it says it again, a sub 1 is the first term, one of the first vocabulary words you have to remember. And then the second term would be a sub 2. Notice you're paying attention to the little 1, paying attention to the little 2 is 5. If you notice that it's a plus 2 pattern, I hope you were able to determine that. And arithmetic means this. Arithmetic, the A in arithmetic, if you want to circle the A, that's how I remember it, as we are adding or subtracting pattern, which is your D. And if you remember, the down here is the D is your difference, your common difference. How much are you adding by, or how much are you subtracting by? The formula for arithmetic sequence is a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times D. Let's remember that a sub n is my nth term. If it's just n by itself, that's my term that we're looking for. A sub 1 is my first term. Don't forget that when you're dealing with arithmetic, you're really dealing with a linear function, because my common difference is adding or subtracting. So let's all recall that you can use this formula. However, if you simplify that formula down, you're simply going to get y equals mx plus b. So with that being said, no matter what term you're looking for, you can always create a table and hit Stat Calc 4. Those are things to remember. So what I mean by that is, if you get a question that looks like this one on the example over on the right-hand side here, it says find to the 10th term of the sequence. Well, what you have to remember is that I always set things up as a table to stay organized. My first term is going to be 3. My second term is 5. My third term is 7. My fourth term is 9. We know that information. If you wanted to get an equation that you can then type into your calculator and go to the 10th term and under y equals, well, just hit Stat Calc 4. If you want to create an equation on your own, let's look at this. What's my pattern? My pattern is plus 2, right? So if I create an equation, y equals 2x plus something, okay? I don't know my y-intercept. Don't forget that my y-intercept is not 1. I have to look to see where my y-intercept is 0. So I have to go backwards. So if I'm adding 2 going down, I have to minus 2 going up. 3 minus 2 would give me 1. So my y-intercept would be 1. You may ask, well, how and why do I need to know that? Well, if you take 10 now, if you're looking for your 10th term and you plug it in, 2 times 10 plus 1, 20 plus 1 equals 21. You notice that it matches up directly to what they did over here. Now, they use this formula. This formula is given to you on the final exam, so you don't have to memorize it, but you have to understand what everything is. They're asking you to find the 10th term, which is your n would then equal 10, a sub 1 is 3, and your d is 2. Plug it all into the formula just like they did. You can type this into your calculator exactly how you see it and come up with 21. Either way works. Either way works. One of the things that I want to stress, though, is this table. A lot of times on the final exam, they don't ask you something that's nice and simple, as you'll see on the back with the other questions. They'll give you pictures. They'll give you a diagram. And what I would do is set it up into a table so that it makes sense to you, and then just hit Stat Calc 4. Now let's switch gears a little bit and talk about geometric. A geometric pattern is one with multiplication or division. The R, the ratio. And one of the things I want to talk to you about is that we're always going to be multiplying. It always is shown by multiplying. If my pattern is going down, it may look like division, but what we're doing is really multiplying by a fraction. Maybe 1/2, maybe 1/3. But we're always multiplying, and that's what ratio means. Ratio, multiplication, my R factor. What am I multiplying by? And once again, they gave you the formula, a sub 1 times R raised to the n minus 1 power. I know they're utilizing that n minus 1 power, but it's not with your a sub. So it's not recursive. This is not the recursive formula. Okay? Your a sub n is your nth term. Your a sub 1 is your first term. The only thing different is your r. Your r is the ratio that it's multiplied by. Let's take an example here. Let's look over here, and it says 2, 6, 18, 54. I hope that everybody is able to see. Sorry, my screen shifted on me a little bit. That we're multiplying by 3. Now, once again, your geometric sequence is tied almost directly, not as exact as arithmetic is to linear, but to exponential. And remember, we could hit stat calc 0 to help figure out the formula. However, in this case, I still would set up a table to keep things organized or to write an equation, but I'm saying that my first term is 2, my second term is 6, my third term is 18, my fourth term is 54. Just to stay organized, that's how your table would look like. If you want to back it up to 0, you want to divide by 2, my y-intercept would be 1. So if I wrote an equation, y equals 1 times 3 raised to the x power. That's going to be my exponential function. Let's see if it works out. I'm looking for n of 7. So all you would have to do is type that into your calculator. Y equals 1 times 3 raised to the 7th power. And by golly, you're going to get a number that matches 1,458. Now, if you want to use the formula that's provided to you, that is absolutely fine. Notice over here on the right-hand side that all they did was take the information that they knew. The a sub n, or my n, is 7, so I'm going to plug 7 right in for that n right there. Your a sub 1 is 2, plug that in for a sub 1, and my r is 3. Type that into the calculator exactly how you see it. You do want to put parentheses around that 7 minus 1, however. So make sure that you have parentheses around that 7 minus 1. Or you can do it in your head and come up with 6, and you could say 2 times 3 times raised to the 6th power. A way of writing the pattern by referring to the previous term. Well, one of the ways to remember that is the prefix re, recursive. Re means to back it up. We already had to see it. Now we have to back it up. Just like rewind or repeat or redo. You had to do it the first time in order to redo something, correct? So what I want you to really pay attention to and circle is the way this is written. Right over here. This guy here. When it says a sub 1 equals negative 4, a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 5. Notice what they have here. They give us the first term. They have to state the first term. When you're talking about recursive, you have to have something to start with. Then it says n minus 1, a sub n minus 1. Notice in those other formulas, n minus 1 was there, but it wasn't attached to the a. In this case, the a sub n minus 1, and it's a sub, is there plus your pattern rule of plus 5. So a sub n minus 1 plus 5. So that means I'm going to take the previous term, and I'm going to add 5 to it. Well, is that what they did? They have negative 4 here, right? Negative 4 plus 5 gives me 2. So my second term would be 1. So negative 4 plus 5 is 1. Let's take my previous term of 1. 1 plus 5 would give me 6. Let's take my previous term of 6. 6 plus 5 gives me 11. My next thing would be 11. Let's get my marker back. Would be 11 plus 5, because that's how I'm changing every time, which would give me 16. I would take that 16 down, plug it in, and keep going. That is using the recursive formula. And you can do the same for geometric as well. I hope this straightened up any ideas or any problems you may have with sequences. Now turn it over and try some of the problems on the back. Remember, when in doubt or when you have a problem with something, create a table. Create a table, break it down, keep it simple. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. Try some of the questions on your own.